Hey guys, what's going on? DuffKing56 here, back with another commentary. Today we're playing a little bit of King of the Hill and Team Fortress 2. As you can see, I play Pyro, mostly among other things, really just rage switches, but just really quick about the game. I'm playing here with my friend Justin, or Hydrox. You'll see him as the Demo Knight who likes to chop my head off, and I don't like Demo Knights because they chop my head off. But that's okay, guys, enjoy the gameplay. I have some pretty epic moments here and there, and I do my fair bit of raging against all the other Team Pyros because apparently once you switch Pyro and start doing well, everyone wants to do the same thing. So, anyways, today I wanted to talk about a philosophical topic, so a bunch of you are going to say yay to yourselves and a bunch of you are going to fall asleep. But I think I'm going to try to make it interesting, and maybe I can try to tie it in around the end or so, like that. So let's sort of swing into things here. I'm basing a lot of this conversation on a book that we read in philosophy. Hold on, let me see if I can grab it really quick. Oh, it's under everything. There we go. Name of the book is On Beauty and Being Just by Elaine Scarry, or Scary, depending on how she prefers her last name. But it was actually a really good book, and if you guys want to pick it up, it's kind of in a unique writing style, but it really gets her point across. If you read it pretty carefully, if you read it a second time through, it's really short. It's only about 100 odd pages, 120, 132 pages, including that's the footnotes too. So, I mean, it's a great book, and she sort of lays out her argument for what beauty is, and it's her arguments for the fact that like beauty can sort of lead someone down the path to being just. So she opens up the book with her definition of beauty. Now, I'm sure everyone has their definition of beauty, and when someone says beauty, I'm sure an image sort of pops to your mind. Like if we were to do a beauty sort of, I can't remember the psychological test it is, like image recognition or whatever. So like if I say beauty, you probably think of maybe a loved one, or a love interest, or a flower, or your family if you're an adult, or a baby if you're recently had a child, or so on and so forth. So you have some sort of image in your head. Now, she opens up the book with her definition of beauty, and that beauty incites replication. Now, what I mean by that is that it forces you to sort of keep thinking about it, or to reproduce it in different forms. That form could be a thought, so like if you continue to think about, say, your family, then you could probably consider your family a very beautiful thing, or your idea of family to be a beautiful thing. But another outlet for that is through reproduction in different modes. So to tie it into all this, or to tie it into video games, you could say that video games are a very beautiful thing, because for me, video games are beautiful because not only do I get to interact with them when I play with them, but I get to reproduce them in the form of this. Like, TF2 is a very beautiful game. The art style is amazing. The class warfare is amazing. It's free to play. Like, so those are some amazing things about the game. And as you see, I took the half hour it took to record it, and the other half hour it took to edit to make sure that it's synced all right, to reproduce it in this sort of form and to put my voice over it. And that's even more of a reproduction because I'm talking about the game, and I'm talking about beauty, and I'm talking about how the game is beautiful. Like, see how everything kind of connects here? So like some sort of inciting of replication. So that could even be an artist drawing a flower. It's like he sees the flower as beautiful. Obviously, through his reproduction in any sort of form, abstract or real, you can see that it's a very beautiful thing. And the beauty is still a large part of people's perception, but there is some sort of general notion of what is beautiful and what is not beautiful. Now, that may not be appearances, that may extend to other things, and she lists these characteristics of something that is beautiful. And please, I really hope I remember this because I'm not digging out my notes, but the first one is that it's sacred. And I'm going to try to pull this out of the religious context because she used an example from Greek mythology in the Odyssey. And basically, her example is when Odysseus met Nausicaa, when he almost died, and she saved him, and beauty was sacred, like, because he asked if she was a god or not. He thought she was some sacred being because he could not believe how beautiful she was. So, let's see if I can sort of pull this out of the religious context. Like, something that is sacred, right? You can have something that is sacred and have it not be holy, right? I mean, you can just have something that is so important to you that you sort of idolize it, not so much as it is a god, but it's so important to you that you would do anything for it. Now, this could be a person, this could be a thing, a pet, a stuffed animal, a book, a prized possession, a family heirloom, like something that is so sacred to you. And and it could be God. If you are religious, it could be God. God is, to religious people, is a very beautiful thing, a very beautiful being. He's all beautiful and all knowing and all that. He's something that people would die for. So I mean, even that is another good example of something that is beautiful to other people. And that's also a place where the division of a person's perception can decide whether something is beautiful or not. Someone who is not religious could look at someone's conception of God and say, perception of God, excuse me, and say that, oh, he's not that beautiful because whether or not he exists, he's not sacred to me. And then another sort of characteristic that she gave is that beauty is life-saving. So something is life-saving. It may not save your life, but the context she puts it in is that it sort of gets your heart going, and it makes your heart beat faster. It makes your body sort of reinvigorated. It sort of makes you feel alive. It makes you want to live. So people live for beautiful things, I think, is the point she's trying to make, in that we live to look for beauty, and sort of whether it be a tree or another person, we're always on this search, and when we find it, we sort of get this sensation, this emotion, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is such a beautiful thing. And you can feel it, and you can experience it, and the experience is so positive, you almost want to search it out again. And I mean, there could be a problem with that. There's a concept of the way someone that lives their life called hedonism, where you only live it in search of pleasure, and if the experience of beauty is a pleasurable thing, you can sort of trap yourself into an infinite loop of searching for beauty or searching for pleasure. So that is one thing you have to look out for, is like, if you only find yourself searching for beauty, and the more beauty you find, the less of the experience you get, you're sort of feeling yourself dragged into this sort of infinite loop. They call it the hedonic treadmill. It's really cool stuff, actually. Sort of looking at what goes into someone's good life and beauty and stuff like that. The next one is that beauty is... I'm going to see if I can find it now. I'm kind of mad that I don't remember. Let's see. Beauty is... Here we go. Hold on. Getting there. I got to flip through the pages. Let's see. Here it is. Something beautiful. I can't believe I don't remember this. I did remember it for my exams. But apparently I do not remember it anymore. Okay, so beauty is sacred. Okay, and then this one is... Next characteristic is that beauty is unprecedented. And what she means by this, and what I interpreted from this, is that beauty is something that... you've never seen before, you've never experienced before, something that so surprises you that just catches you off guard. I've never experienced a rose before. Someone who's never experienced a rose before can look upon it and say, wow, that is a very beautiful flower. That is, just could look upon sort of a child. That is a very beautiful thing. Or maybe it is a girl or a guy, depending on what gender you are or sexuality. I mean, you can look upon the face of another human being and say, wow, that person is extremely beautiful. And it sort of has this connotation where it is just a completely unique experience. And I think that sort of plays off of the fact that beauty is life-saving, and that is sort of invigorating. Like, you get that very excited, sort of on-edge feeling. You're like, wow, it's just this exhilarating... I can't describe it in no other way than it is life-giving, and that you're like, wow, that is beautiful. It is just a really cool thing. And then the last concept of beauty, which is kind of weird. I mean, it is not my favorite. It's called that it incites deliberation. I mean, it's really official to say that like people can talk about the beauty itself, and that not sort of it can be argued over, but you know, people can talk about it. And then I think one way we can put this is that if beauty incites deliberation, people are going to, it's going to play into the definition. It's going to incite replication as well. People are going to deliberate about the beauty, and they're going to talk about it, and they're going to talk to other people about it. So you think about it, they're reproducing this beauty through conversation about the beauty itself. So I think that's kind of cool, because like, I mean, when you see something amazing in real life, you're going to turn around to the next person you see, or a family member or a close friend, and say, you know, this is a very amazing thing that I experienced. It was like, this is a sublime experience. It was just so powerful, and it struck me with awe. I need to tell you about it. Like, the one time that I was almost hit by lightning, it was like the coolest, most beautiful experience at the same time ever, because, I mean, to set the stage really quickly, I don't know if I actually talked about this before, I apologize if I have, but it was such a beautiful experience. I'll try to go through the 4 characteristics. So, our baseball game got rained out, and we were sitting under the pavilion. It was a really scary time, because we were getting ground lightning, which is all lightning, but it was really dangerous because the dugout was made of concrete, but it was flooding with water, so we had to really, like, get together under the snack pavilion. I'd have to, like, draw a picture to really sort of remember. I can remember it in my mind. If you've never been there, you can't judge me. But we're sitting under this pavilion, and I turned behind me just to look at the batting cages, right? And all of a sudden, there's this big flash of light. The lightning hit the goddamn batting cages like 50 feet away from me. And all of a sudden, this purple ball of fire just like gets released into the air, and it was just, I can't even describe. I could feel the heat on my arms, and it was just, I can almost play through my 5 senses, except I only tasted my saliva because I wasn't really eating anything, although I was hungry, I remember that, so I guess that kind of plays into taste. But it was definitely sacred, because it was sort of this, I mean, religion aside, it was sort of divine experience. Like, you see lightning is a very respected aspect of nature. Like, no, you don't fuck with lightning, you know. People have gotten hit by lightning, or probably very humbled by it, because they have a scar. It's like, I forgot what the name of the scar is, but it looks like a tree, like it looks like a lightning strike that's left behind when they get struck by lightning. It's very sacred. You know, I'm sure a lot of polytheistic nations in our ancient past probably worshipped the god of lightning. I mean, besides Zeus, I'm talking about like Egypt and stuff like that. Thor, I think Thor's a god of lightning, so Zeus he's got his lightning rod. So as you can see, this is like a mythological motif of lightning. So it was very sacred. It was a very sacred experience for me too. It was a very awe-inspiring experience, which plays in the fact that it was life-giving. Like, that gave me life. I was adrenaline pumping. Like, I jumped. You know, only a couple other people saw it, and we were like, all of a sudden, we were just like set on fire. We just kind of started freaking out. We were like, oh my gosh, did you see that? Look at that, just a batting cage that was on fire. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? Chill out. It is just a rainy day. Like, it was really definitely an experience to behold. And then in that same light, it was definitely something I've never experienced before. It was definitely something that I probably will never experience again now that I think about it, but it really just sort of, I've never experienced lightning like that before. I've never experienced fire like that before. I've never experienced sort of senses that I experienced at that time. It was just a completely unique, sublime experience. I can only describe it with sublime, the word sublime, because it was so powerful and encapsulating that it just took me, and it really grabbed me. And as you can see, it almost plays right into the fact that it incited replication and deliberation, because not only am I telling you now, but we had to turn around and tell the story to everyone else, and our parents and the coaches, and it was like the story of the week for us. We were still talking about the lightning after the tournament ended. It was a really insane experience. And the more and more I think about it, the more and more beauty I can find in it. And that is another thing she talked about, was that there's two problems with people perceiving beauty, and that is you overcredit the beauty and you undercredit the beauty. And by overcrediting, you sort of look really hard for the beauty, sort of like, man, I saw this girl today in the hallway, I saw this guy today in the hallway, and she was just so beautiful. And you're trying to like list all these shallow characteristics, like, yeah, man, her hair was like amazing, and she smelled great, and her face was just so pretty, and she's got this great body. Like, yeah, that's appearances, but really, is that a beautiful thing outside of your aesthetically pleasing pleasure centers of your brain and your groin? Same thing with women, and they go through the same thing, like, wow, look at his ass, blah, blah, blah. But, you sort of overcredit. You're, like, looking really, really, really hard for it. You overcredit to be like, wow, she's so beautiful. She's not really that beautiful, dude. She's more like a 5. No, I'm just kidding. Never done that before. Maybe I have once, but never done that before. Shh. Okay. Undercrediting is when you sort of just pass something off. Like, I can only really describe, besides my hand gesture, my hand just, like, waving to the side while my head turns the other way. Just like, whatever. She talked about that a lot too, but with palm trees, she said she always hated palm trees, and she's like, I can't find anything beautiful with a palm tree because it's just a palm tree. And not only do I agree with her, but I do not agree with the fact that she ended up finding them beautiful. I do not like palm trees. There's nothing beautiful about a palm tree for me, and although I'm probably undercrediting it, I've still been to tropical places where palm trees have grown, aka Florida, aka shithole. I apologize if you live in Florida. I really do not like it outside of the fact of the weather in Disney World. I'm just stuck in the Northeast. I apologize. I'm a little bit biased. I've lived here for, 19 years longer than I've lived in Florida, so I apologize. But I digress as well. There's really nothing I find beautiful about a palm tree. But she talked about it, and she even cited the artist, Matisse, and the fact that recurring image was a palm tree in some of his work. And not only was it a recurring image, but as the art progressed, she showed from like beginning to end of his art. I apologize if you can hear the lawnmower on the lawn. As the art progressed, you could see the palm trees not only getting bigger, but inching closer and closer and closer to the focal point of the painting. And it was a really interesting progression that she played out, and that she sort of arranged for us. And it was really interesting on not how only you can eventually find something beautiful, but the fact that you can find something not beautiful, and the fact that it is, and it sort of subconsciously pervades your thoughts and your mind, and all of a sudden this image sort of comes to the forefront, and you're like, wow, beautiful, that palm tree is beautiful, I can really see where there's beauty in this. And it's a really interesting and unique event. And then two arguments against beauty, and I will try to refute them with her words, paraphrase of course. Two arguments against beauty is that the problem of lateral disregard, and that is when you sort of are so focused on the beautiful things that things that are more important fall to the sides, the laterals. You just push out everything besides the beauty, and she said people have said that is an obstruction to justice and the good things about life, and that the fact that beauty is sort of taking you away from that thing. And that is the next argument, is the argument of staring, and that when you stare at beauty, you sort of destroy what it's all about, and that since beauty is so sacred and unprecedented and precedented, and life-saving, that the more you stare, the more you destroy that unprecedented feeling, the sacred feeling, and the life-saving feeling, because you're going to dull the experience, not only for you, but for others, because you're sort of destroying the beauty, quote-unquote. But the way she sort of tackles that, and the way I sort of agree with her as well, she tackles that with the problem of lateral disregard is not one of lateral disregard, is that the more we stare at beauty, the more we can appreciate it. So the more we focus on beauty as the center, the more and more we want to go make other things beautiful. So we have some sort of motivational drive to replicate beauty in everything around us. So it's not that we're ignoring or obstructing justice, is that we're taking our time, we're realizing what's more important to us and what we feel is beautiful, and that we go out and we sort of model things in beauty from then on in. And the fact that we can do that is a sort of just thing, and is part of a good life and what people should do, and we're not ignoring it. We're just modeling things in that beauty after we experience beauty in its fullest. The problem with staring, now that my screen goes blank, is that it's not necessarily destroying the beautiful object. You're, like I said, you're sort of appreciating it in full, and it's, just not a matter of destruction of beauty so much as you're experiencing the things that make it beautiful, and that takes time. Beauty takes time, and it's not just going to be a sort of instant gratification that society has sort of wrapped their minds around nowadays, especially our generation of kids and young people. So we sort of thirst and hunger for this instant gratification, and it is not something that you want to aim after, because the more and more you aim for instant gratification, the less and less you'll find, because good things in life take time, blah blah blah, cliche after cliche. So cliches aside, I think it's really interesting to sort of look at beauty in that way, and that people can misinterpret and undercredit beauty. And that was kind of one point that I really enjoyed to think about and talk about, was that, undercrediting. People can look at video games and gaming and say, well, that's not really, you're just sort of wasting your time. The more and more you spend staring at a TV screen, playing video games, the more and more you're not living life, you're spending your life inside, and there's things that you're ignoring that are more important than video games. But if you look at it, some of the most beautiful things, I wish I could have side scrolling of Skyrim and other games, really nice looking, not just in that aspect, but cool gameplay mechanics and stuff like that. Look at Minecraft. People sort of replicate the beauty in Minecraft in real life through the art, and any game, if you think about it. When you play a beautiful video game, when you have some sort of awesome experience with a video game, not only are you going to tell other people about it, you're not only going to spend time with it in the video game, but it's going to reflect on your person, and you're going to see a change in your life, not only maybe through action, but maybe through thought. Maybe you look through a different lens that you can see that this is more beautiful because I had a sort of different experience when I was playing with it in a game. Maybe I can look at it from this angle, this perspective. And I think that's half the reason why society is so negative on gaming, is that they don't appreciate the significant experience that you have with a video game. And although I've probably beaten this topic to death, I'm very pro gaming, and it was very interesting to see in one of my summer classes, the only summer class I'm taking, so it's not like you can narrow it down, but one of the older students, I think she's a teacher at the school actually, and she's taking classes, but she was talking to the professor about how one of her sons would just rather play video games and play sports or do other things, and that it's absorbing his time. And I sort of wanted to speak up in one light, and second light I didn't want to, because not only did they know each other and I was interrupting the conversation, which is rude. I mean, it's not like she was going to budge an inch anyway, but if I actually had a chance to sit down with her and sort of go through my experience and how maybe her son's experience is similar, or maybe a different way she could look at it, she could look at it in a different light, and she could say, well, maybe he's not wasting his time on video games, maybe he could do other things, but I can see the value in what he enjoys doing, what makes him happy. And not only that, the fact that he's deeply connecting and critically connecting with a different immersive mode of entertainment. And what I mean by that is, not only you're engaging your brain, you're engaging your hands, you're engaging your eyes, you're engaging your emotions. Who doesn't get choked up when you play a sad ending in a video game? Who doesn't get scared when you're playing a horror game? Who doesn't get adrenaline rushes when you're playing an action game or a shooter or anything. Who doesn't get into the role, into the mood when you're playing a video game? Like, not many people, unless you're a casual gamer, you don't understand what the significance of gaming is. And that's a really important point. You know, you get out of it what you put into it. If you put your heart and soul into video games, you're going to have such an interpersonal relationship with your games and with the stories and with the characters that you're going to realize that you really had a meaningful connection, and whether or not that impacts your future career or your experience in school, it doesn't matter. What matters is that it reflects on your person, and I think that video games has made me nothing more than a better person, and the fact that it led me to do this hobby and meet the people I've met, and it's really reflected positively on my life. Maybe not in the fact that I have a short attention span and that I'm irritable because I get frustrated easily from video games. Maybe not in that light, but in other lights it's taught me to subconsciously do things. My hand-eye coordination is amazing. You know, it's taught me a lot of things, and I've had a lot more meaningful experiences I can reflect on than any other experience I can reflect on before, besides maybe sports. So that's another thing that I can talk about in a later video, guys, but hopefully you've enjoyed. Have yourselves a great evening. This has been Duff King 56. See you guys later. Peace out. Bye.